What's up guys, Diesel Doug here, back with a long overdue update video on the 79 crew cab. As you can see, we got a lot of work done on this thing. I haven't been making a whole lot of videos because we got winter knocking on our door here in Michigan. It's getting cold quick. I mean, like today's only 30 degrees. So there's a lot of stuff I had to get done outside, like sandblasting and taking the frame to the sandblaster and getting it back in one day without it getting wet, and getting it painted right away before anything started to flash rust, and sandblasted my axles, got those all welded, all these leaf springs, everything's got sandblasted, powder coated, painted. So yeah, I'm gonna go through all that stuff and just give you guys an update on the 79. Yeah, so in my last video, I was just pulling the cab off of this. Frame was still all crusty and didn't have all the holes welded shut yet. So yeah, since then I went through and finished welded up all the holes. So there's no holes in the frame except for where my coil buckets bolt on, 4-link, and the leaf spring hangers. And I do actually have to drill holes for my traction bar mounts, but other than that, there's no holes in the frame. Welded all those up, grounded all down, took it up to sandblaster here up at Just Powder Coating. I dropped it off, and literally the next day he texted me, told me it was done, ready to come pick up. So I went through, picked up the frame, coated the well, sorry, let me back up. First, I sprayed 2 coats of epoxy primer on the whole thing. And I had this section of the garage like tarped off, so this was like my makeshift paint booth over here. Moved that section of the frame over here, covered the entire frame rails, both sides, with body filler, sanded it all down. After I sanded it, I went over it again. I just sanded it all with a palm sander, so it's not perfect, but it did fill in like a lot of little pits and took out some of the waves from the grinding and stuff, so it looks a lot better. Then after that, took it back over into this side of the garage where I had my spray booth set up, and did 2 more coats of epoxy primer. And then I painted it with this paint. This is single stage, high impact, murdered out black from Tamco paint. And it turned out really good. Yeah, so I was super happy with the way this paint turned out. It's super glossy. Like murdered out black is definitely a good name for this paint, because like when I took a picture of the frame and I still had it in the like my makeshift booth I had just tarps hung up, it was just so black, like it looked like there was just nothing there. It just looked like a black hole. So yeah, it turned out really good. I did the same thing with the axles. Got all my axle trusses laser cut, welded those together. Same thing, I painted the axle with 2 coats of epoxy primer, and then I ground down where I had to weld and painted that with Steel-It. And then I welded my truss on, and then 2 more coats of epoxy primer, and same thing, the high impact single stage paint from Tamco. These overlays are not powder coated yet, that's just the raw steel. But I just went through and drilled and tapped these, so just bolted it all up to make sure everything lined up good. And so I gotta take that off, sandblast it, and powder coat that still. But as you can see back here, my colors I went with. I was originally wanted to do like a burnt orange under this truck, but I tried so many different oranges and I just couldn't find the one I was looking for. And I found one I kind of liked that was close to what I was looking for, and then I held it up next to my paint on my truck. And it didn't go together the way I thought it would. So since the paint on my truck looks so good, I really wanted like the body to be the focus of the truck and not so much the suspension. So I just ended up going with this alien silver for the suspension, and then, you know, did the leaf springs 2-tone, alien silver and black. You know, same thing with my brackets. Those are all gloss black with alien silver overlays. I bought brand new coil buckets, brand new leaf spring hangers, everything. And even though they were brand new, they came in like a kind of more like a flat or satin black. And I wanted them to match the frame, so I sandblasted all those too and powder coated those gloss black. So that was a lot of unnecessary work, but they look way better. Got my trans cross member in there. I'll show you the rear axle truss here. So got the rear axle truss all welded up. Did the same thing with I did it with the front axle. 2 coats of epoxy primer on the axle. Ground down where I needed to weld. Painted that with Steel-It. Same thing with the inside of the trusses. I painted those with steel before I welded them on, just to make sure everything was covered good. Welded it all on. I just drilled and tapped these for the overlay. So that's got to come off, get sandblasted and powder coated. This diff cover is also getting replaced. I'm gonna get a finned one, and that's gonna get powder coated, and the fins will be exposed. So, yep, got all that done. I went through and welded up my shock mounts on here. All my exhaust hangers are welded on. Like I said, I had to do that because I'm not having any exposed bolts on the outside, so I had to go through and weld on all those brackets. But yeah, lots of work on the frame done. I'm hoping to have this thing on its own weight here pretty soon. I'm waiting for my center pins for my leaf springs to come in. I think those will be here tomorrow. And then I got to go through and put together my all new stuff for my Dana 60. I have everything here, so hopefully get it back on its own weight pretty soon. Yeah, for the front axle, I got all new axle shafts. They're the 1550 series axle shafts with the 1550 U-joints. Brand new knuckles. I was gonna powder coat those, but they came with brand new ball joints installed in them already, and I'm afraid if I press them out, they might get damaged. So I'm just gonna end up painting those and hanging those. Brand new wheel bearings, brand new lockout hubs. I'm doing Heim steering on this too, so I'm waiting for that to come in. And you can see here I did relocated my track bar. I don't remember if I talked about that in my last video. But yes, the factory track bar usually mounts here, and I cut that off because with the big lift and stuff, I wanted a better track bar angle, and I didn't want to have to deal with that ball joint. So I cut that off. I'm doing a DOM tube track bar. Gonna have a Heim joint here and a ballistic joint on the other end. That way it'll keep the vibration out of the frame. So you can see back here, this is the track bar mount I made that's gonna get mounted to the frame. So it gets bolted underneath the coil bucket here, and then these three go to the engine cradle. And like I said, that ballistic joint will go in there. So that's another custom part I had to make. I don't remember if I ever talked about that in my other video, because that was kind of a last minute decision, I think. So for the rear axle, stripped it all down. Pulled off all this, the brake mounting bracket, the backing plate, all that, took all that off. Powder coated everything that came off. I'm not putting the parking brake back on here, so all that stuff's gonna be deleted. But yeah, just gonna go through and reinstall that. I'm gonna go through and powder coat all the calipers all the way around the truck, and then all new drilled and slotted rotors and everything. So like I said, I am gonna change this diff. I think I'm just gonna do the factory like 08 style fin diff cover, and I'm gonna powder coat it and do exposed fins on it. So let me see, there's another part I gotta show you guys. So another part I made for this is bottom traction bar mounts. So I'm gonna change up the U-bolt orientation on these. So usually on the 6.0s, the U-bolts face up with the plate on top of the leaves. But since I do have the newer axles and I have the 2011 plus leaf springs, I'm also going to switch the U-bolts to face down, and they're going to go through this plate on the bottom of the axle. Let me see if I can hold this up here. This will be mounted here. U-bolts come down through it. And this is actually one for the driver's side now, I'm looking at it. But yeah, the U-bolts come down through here. Nuts come up from the bottom, hold it in place. And then my traction bar mounts will go through there. So that was another part I made. Pretty excited about those. I think I'm going to do the same ones on my Illuma Duty. So yeah, and then I custom made mounts that bolt up on the frame here. So I do have to drill holes in the frame, but not too many more. So that was another part I wanted to show you. And speaking of the front traction bar mounts here, this is my design here. DTF logo on there, something clean and simple, and it's relatively small. That way I didn't want it to stand out on the frame, so bolt like that to the side of the frame. Got two more holes on the bottom, and traction bar run up into there, bolt in, and then run down to the axle and mount to the U-bolt plate. So yeah, lots of custom parts. All that stuff is laser cut, so super high quality. Yeah, so everything that's on this truck, I designed all of this. I fully, designed this custom track bar bracket. I designed and cut out all this, all the axle trusses. I designed all that in CAD, front and rear axle trusses. Designed all this, had it all laser cut, all the overlays, all my 4-link bars. I designed all this, the 4-link brackets, all these brackets. Everything on here is designed by me. So that's pretty cool to be able to say that. Everything basically to make this truck come together was fully designed by me. So I'm pretty proud of all that. But yeah, it's starting to look really good. It's starting to come together. Like I said, hopefully have a rolling chassis here pretty soon. So another thing I did was I ended up painting the dash black. I had the dash completely torn apart and ended up pulling the skin off of it so I could put just the frame inside the cab just to make sure all my HVAC stuff cleared and fit with the firewall and everything. So while I had it apart, I decided to shoot the entire thing black. I was kind of going back and forth on it, but I'm really glad I did because it turned out super nice. And when I cleaned it to paint it, the gray was actually a lot more faded and stuff than I thought, and it was kind of stained up. So really glad I went through and painted all this black. Took everything apart. It was completely stripped. The skin, every piece that came off was taken apart, scuffed, cleaned, and painted. The only thing I still got to do before I can finish putting this together is I got to put the vents back in. And when I took it apart, I broke one of the tabs for the 4-wheel drive switch, so I got to get a new one of those. But I'm getting a new 12-volt thing because that one's all nasty. But yeah, she turned out really good. I'm super happy with the paint on this. It's super durable. I'll show you guys what I used in a minute, but that was one thing I was worried about. I didn't want to paint this and have it be, really easy to scratch and have gray showing through or anything. But yeah, the products I used, I was super happy with. Super durable. The finish is amazing. This basically looks like a factory black 6.0 dash, which I think only came in the Outlaws and maybe the Amarillo version. Other than that, I think they were all gray. So this will look really nice in the truck because I'm going to have all black leather interior, black carpet, black headliner. So now I'm going to do all the trim pieces black. So it'll be all blacked out on the inside of the truck. So this is what I used to paint the dash. It's SEM products. I used trim black to paint the entire dash. I did 2 coats of plastic adhesion promoter and then 3 coats of black on everything. There was one part where I had some fish eyes come through, so I had to scuff it back down and hit it with some alcohol again and then resprayed it. And that's when I noticed how durable this stuff was. When I scuffed it back down, I just used Scotch-Brite. And after I painted it the first time and had those fisheye problems, when I scuffed it with Scotch-Brite again, I didn't break through the black paint like at all. I thought, once I started hitting that thing with Scotch-Brite, all that black paint would come right off. It really didn't. It just kind of dulled it out a little bit, and then I hit it with the adhesion promoter again and black paint again, and it looks perfect. So yeah, I'm super impressed with the durability, and having to touch those pieces up made me, it reassured me that if I do have to touch up some spots, it'll look really good still. So that was the other thing I was super happy with. So yeah, guys, just wanted to give you an update, let you know we were making big progress on the truck. Lots of stuff getting done. Like I said, hopefully have a rolling chassis here pretty soon. This week I am working on welding up the cab. So I cut out all the floor and everything. Not all the floor, sorry. The floor pans. Put new floor pans in because there was some rust holes in there just from, it sat underneath the tree for 20 years down in Mississippi. So gotta clean that up. Put new floor pans in, and then go through and weld in the 6.0 firewall. Get all that stuff sandblasted and send that off to my painter. So that's my project this week. But yeah, I'll try to keep you guys updated on everything that's getting done to the 79. Lots of big progress, lots of tear down, lots of put back together. Everything's sandblasted, powder coated. It's starting to look like a show truck now. So getting pretty excited about that. And I did put a video on my Instagram of the bed painted, but it was in black and white. And I guess a lot of people didn't notice it because now everyone thinks my truck's black. Just want to let you know my truck's not black. So if you did see that video and you think my truck's black, I'm just letting you know it's not black. So I'll share the color eventually, but I'm hoping to wait until I either have the whole body painted, I can show it all next to each other like all painted, or I don't know if I'm gonna wait till I get the whole thing on the chassis. But it's a really sweet color. You guys are gonna like it. I love it. I think it's sweet. But yep. is updates on the 79. See you guys in the next one. Also wanted to mention, make sure to follow me on Instagram if you're not, because I do post a lot more about this on Instagram, like as I get stuff done. Just make short little videos, you know, reels and stuff. That's a lot easier to do than to make full YouTube videos. I only do that when I get a lot of progress like this done and do a full update video. But yeah, so make sure to follow me on there. I post a lot more progress on there. And thanks for watching.